was interested when Andrew was talking to him, saying about, are you the best leader? Well, I know for sure I am the best leader. And I know this for sure because about 6 years ago, Courtney Early stopped me in the corridor in Govan High School and said to me, "Sir, you are the best Hede in the world." I said, "Well, Courtney, thanks very much. Have you done a lot of Hedes?" She said, "No, just you." And I follow, of course, today, speaking after Andrew, follow the man who's had more chairs in the Royal Albert Hall. And he was speaking about lawyers and teachers and mutual respect. But Andrew, I think it's absolutely terrible the way that 99% of lawyers have got the rest of bad name. So here we are today, and what's my learning intention today? Well, my intention is, I hope, and I've managed already, to make you smile, to make you laugh. We've done a wee bit of that too. To challenge you, I hope to annoy you in some cases. And what's the outcome going to be? Well, my desired learning outcome is at the end that in some way or other I'll have stirred your emotions to get you passionate about something around about your leadership and your work. And what's my success criterion? Well, my success criterion is that if every single person in this room tomorrow is thinking positively or negatively in a kind of deep learning kind of way, interacting with something that I've said, and that this is happening tomorrow, that would be success for me. So on to leadership, and Kennedy said that, and I sincerely believe that. And by my success criterion that I mentioned a minute or two ago, I hope to change your world. And if you don't believe that you and your job can change the world, if you think that you're too small to change the world, have you ever shared a bed with a mosquito? Howard Gardner said, by the way, I make the assumption that first of all, the visibility is good enough, and secondly, you can all read them, so I wouldn't read these things good to you. And I hope that's okay, because there's nothing rips my knitting there in the presentation if somebody reads out the slides to you. So he said, so I'm going to be trying to tell you a wee story today. It's like any kind of principle in teaching, any kind of learning you're trying to engender. If you can wrap what it is around a story, then folk will remember it. I had a fantastic history teacher in Greenock High School called Ronald Marshall, and he was fantastic because he used to tell you historical facts in a way that you actually believed you were there. And when I visited Prague many years after I'd left the school, and I saw the window where the defenestration of Prague happened, I went right back to Mr. Marshall and room 8 in Greenock High School, demonstrating how the person, as they would say in Glasgow, drooped out the window at the defenestration of Prague. We've heard earlier on today about belief, and belief is important in leadership terms. Belief is the thing that makes you the person that you are in leadership terms. I know some heroes, and I couldn't tell you one thing that they believe in, because I've never seen them passionate about anything. And for me, one of the greatest things about belief is it will lead you to do kind of crazy things. One of my heroes, my late father, Harry, he had a belief set that led him in 1940 to give up a job in a protected occupation, work as a joiner on the Scarlet Flow, to take the collar papers and go and join the Navy, because he believed that there was bad stuff going on in Europe. He also believed, based on an admission, that the grub was better in the Navy than the Army. And if he went to the Navy, the next time it might be the Army, and he would have had a lot more chance of getting home having been in the Navy than being in the infantry. But nonetheless, belief systems are very important. And whilst they'll get you to say yes, they will also encourage you sometimes to say, I'm not doing that, because I don't believe in that. And belief is a thing in from in here. Belief is a kind of right brainy kind of thing. It's in here, it's in the heart. And I so agree with Norman, another greener boy, and that like that. And that's the first mention, bravery. The world today is a lot different than the one that I was born into in 1954. Now, I know you're saying 1950, but I did an easy paper round. 1954, it's a lot different than it was in what way? We need to look at what the world is like because we are educators and we must prepare the young people for the world that they are entering. And how do we fit in to this grand scheme of things? There's a fellow called Dan Pink, an American, who says that human beings have been in this journey. And if you look at Dan's hypothesis, in actual fact, at least in the assessment sense in education, we're well out of kilter. Because there's nobody in the world at their work goes into a place where they're on their own. They are not allowed access to all the knowledge that there is out there. They are not allowed to converse with other people, to solve problems, but rather they have to have a lot of stuff that they've memorised to regurgitate on their own in an exam. Well, now this was greatly illustrated to me when a group of lanes out of Dublin High over in the shipyard in Scotstoun. And I got introduced to a designer, and I thought this was a wonderful place because when I was a student, I worked in the shipyards in Greenock, and the designers and the drawing offices, it was all boards and pencils and people that could write so neatly, and the rubbers, and just in case any of the rubbers stayed in the drawing, the dusters to pay all that stuff off. But this was all computers, computer-aided design. And I got introduced to this chap who was a former pupil of Dublin High before my time, but he was chatting to me, he says, "Oh, I'll not believe him. Look at South East Army. I need to put that freshwater circulation pump right there. And there's 3 fuel lines and an oil wood line running through there." So what did he do? I stood back and he called over somebody else. And we had a wee chat and it finished up, there's 5 of them around this machine. A problem to solve. And your Dublin High former people said, "Right, okay, do we all know what we're going to do?" Aye, aye, aye. And off they went to do it. That's the world that young people go into. Not a world that has them sitting, regurgitating facts that they haven't had any deep learning around, and a hall, and pictorially it's shown this way. And it's a wee bit in the past now, but that's a great book, Whole New Mind. It's a dead easy read, and you should have a read at it. And what he's saying there is that it's not about this left brain activity anymore in our world. But you got this first for me. Now this, before I say this, it's a rhetorical question. I don't need any smart arse, Jerry, giving me the answer. What is the capital of Uzbekistan? I don't know. And actually, I don't care. Now that's not a racist remark, nor is it a slur on the good people of Uzbekistan, but that's not something right now that I need to know. But I tell you what I'm passionate about. Although I don't care that any child in Newlands Junior College knows the answer to that, what I am passionate about is that if they need to know that, they have the skills that they can find it out within a matter of seconds rather than minutes or hours. That's the world in which we live. In Newlands Junior College, we let the weans use these things, or the iPads we give them, or whatever. Because that is the world we live in. The world we live in doesn't confiscate your mobile phone if you take it out in your work. And there's my contention about educational reality. One of the heroes, Tom Peters, an American, bit of a hero of mine, and I heard Tom saying that at a conference. This was the same conference at what she said. There was me and 399 business people in a big hall in Manchester, and I heard Tom Peters saying, "Show me a school teacher, and I'll show you somebody that's not coloured outside the lines in their life." And you know, I actually see when I thought about it, I thought, man, you're right. We're conformists. We are conformists by nature. However, I did take the opportunity when they did a Q&A and I got the microphone. I said, "Hello, my name's Iain White. I'm from Scotland and I'm a school teacher." And Tom Peters said, "Oh, man." But you know, that is what the curriculum for excellence should be about. And we need to change, because the world is changing, and we're not doing anybody any service if we don't change. I was saying to somebody earlier on, where I should give me away, at one time, chasing saber-toothed tigers with a fiery stick would have been a very valuable life skill to have. We don't teach folk that stuff anymore because there ain't no saber-toothed tigers. We were doing in Govan High School a big change to the curriculum, really radical stuff. Maybe come back to this later, and we're saying things like, actually, when it comes to your choices time, you don't need to do a modern language. If you don't see it as relevant to you, you don't need to do it. You don't need to do a science subject. Whatever. So anyway, with a lot of discussion about this, a lot of involvement of another hero of directory education at the time in Glasgow, Ronnie O'Connor, what a guy Ronnie was. Hours and hours talking about what we're going to do and what we're going to develop. And of course, we've been involving the rest of the staff in discussion and focus groups and that sort of things that went along. Then it came to the final launch at a staff meeting, and this guy, Alec, let's call him Alec, because that was his name. Alec said to me, "See this, is this going to have an impact on staffing?" I said, "Well done, Alec, got it in one. If they don't choose your subject, you won't be here." Where was Alec 2 years later? Another rhetorical question, ladies and gentlemen. I despair of a country that aspires to get 55% of young people into a university education when I can't get a decent plumber to fix a leak in my house when I'm looking for one, or a spa, or a gina. One of the cleverest folk I ever knew was my dad. He became a teacher eventually, but he didn't have a university degree. But he was a teacher, and see what Harry could do with his hands. I remember after he passed away, because he used to supervise me when I was trying to do stuff in the house, and he would say things like, "Now see if I was doing that, son." I remember trying to do this particularly challenging job, namely put a letterbox thing onto a wall outside my house, and the wall wasn't particularly plumb my flat or anything like that, and I'm saying, "Dad, where are you? I really need you." Man with 2 university degrees, including a postgraduate master's degree, couldn't he put a letterbox on a wall? And how do we measure success? Lots of ways of measuring success. That's what Tom Hunter suggested a number of years ago. Here the minute, see if a Wayne leaves the school and goes into something positive, then they've got a chance in life. If they don't, as we said earlier on, outmoded view of leadership, me the principal, the head teacher, pointing hat at the top, most important person. No. It's about the really great ideas and creativity round about us and encouraging that amongst the young people in the community, amongst our colleagues. In 2001, I was lucky enough to get to Australia to lead for the exchange of Commonwealth teachers, and their infinite craziness sent me to Australia. And out there I went, and I met again, a chap that I'd met at a conference in Edinburgh, Gary Costello. And Gary told me an incredible story. We'd been presenting about a journey we were going on in Govan High, where we were taking the school from somewhere west of Dodge City and Laramie to Sanity and Purpose. And he had a great story to tell, because his experience was similar to mine. Actually, Gary said that he called an assembly when he started in Montgomery High School, and he went in and he said, it was incredible. Nobody was, the whole school was there, and nobody was listening to a word that I was saying. He was in his office and a brick come through the window, and the head of English, who had started the same morning as him, came into his office at the break and said, Anglo-Saxon epithet, "This, Gary, I'm off." And he had to chase her as she was walking out the door. But then I went to Australia, and one of the things I saw out there was this concept of leader. Gary had people working for him that just took initiative and just went and did it. I met a guy who ran a Doorways to Construction programme, and when I met him, he was putting up a fence at the school grounds to extend the school grounds. He said to me, "We need more space. I don't know who actually owns this land. I've not seen anybody on it in 5 years, so we're just putting up the fence anyway." Paul Dupy, senior men locked up in Dupy. What a guy! He was running his programme out of a workshop and a classroom area that he and the children had built. And actually, Doorways to Construction built mobile homes, cabins, and sold them. Miles, light years ahead of us, and that was 14 years ago. I'm terrified to think where they are now compared to us, even in our more enlightened state. I got a wee indication of that when a chap called Nick Fields visited me during the summer there from Queensland. So round about us, there's all this talent. See if you're 4 days in a classroom and only 1 day as a head teacher. See if you're every day in a classroom. You are still surrounded by leadership potential that's not in yourself. I was saying to somebody earlier on about the young people, and I was talking about how I always marvel at the skill of the primary teacher and despair at the way I and we as secondary heads de-skill these lanes when they come out of primary 7 and come into secondary 1. All the responsibilities they find. I've got a 9-year-old who runs the Rights and Responsibilities group in Guru Primary School. For goodness sake. When she goes to secondary school, will she be de-skilled? I hope not. You either got or you haven't got style. We have it, Jay. Look at the suits. Check the suits. Absolutely identical. Stand up, let us see that. Hey, you couldn't have planned this, could you? And then you go, and when the best leaders' work is done, and people say, "We did it ourselves." Somebody's got an idea. Let them run with it. Give them all the support and the resource, but let them do it. Don't be in a situation where you take their idea and then put Iain White at the bottom of it. Even worse, when I went to Govan High School, I was only there 2 or 3 days. The guy did staff development, as they call it. Here, I'm losing track what it is. What is it now? It's not even CPD anymore. At least I'm willing to live with this language change. In fact, I'm reminded of being at a school which shall remain nameless recently with my son and my wife. And Gail said to me, "It would be a lot easier if they just spoke in English." But anyway, you know, here we are. You want to be in a situation where people are encouraged. They are encouraged to take their own ideas forward. So when I started at Govan High, 3 days after I started, something was an in-service day, and the guy who did all the staff development had put all this together. It was a smashing day. It was a child protection, safety kind of day, and he had all sorts of folk coming in. And he said to me, "Right, okay, tomorrow I've got this in, so you'll introduce it." And I said, "Yeah, why enough? I don't want to do that." He said, "Well, you're the deacon." I said, well, yeah, man, this is your kid. You get out there, you introduce it. And it was not long after that I had to have a serious talk with the poor souls in the senior management team in that school, because they didn't have a job at all. Because previously the Headie had done all the important things. The sad man even kept all the VAT-free purchase forms in his office. And the office staff had can I get a VAT-free purchase form? And I said, yes, what are you asking me for? I don't even know what a VAT-free purchase form is. And there was this wee file cabinet that I hadn't even opened the drawers of in the corner. And there it was, a drawer with VAT-free purchase forms and all sorts of other admin things. And I said, well, that's where they're in it. I said, well, please take it. I said, no, hold on a minute. So I went over and I lifted the whole thing. I said, you got a wee space in the floor in here. Let's get this where it should be. Folk got encouraged and that sort of thing. And as Andrew was saying, it's about facilitating and able. And I was really grateful back in 1993 when I was I know, easy paper round, remember that? When I was deputy head in Port Glasgow High School, I got a phone call saying, would I like to go to Reading, to Wakefield Park, for a management course on quality to be delivered by the trainers for Rank Xerox, because this was a Rank Xerox place. So I went down with Sybil Simpson, who's the deputy head of Linwood at the time, and shortly after that we came Headie at Knightswood and we met up again. And down we went, and this experience changed my life and how I saw things, because this is what they were talking about way back then. But it's all that talent, nurture it. And they talked about facilitating and enable, that's your job. And unlike was said earlier, I like followers. Because I follow the Rangers. And like that, I mean, half the room's going to like it, half isn't, so you're halfway to success if you mention that. Basically, I like this whole concept of followers because. Wow, that's better feedback than I usually get. There was one night I was speaking at a bum supper in the upper Port Glasgow Social Club. We arrived there. Back at 7 o'clock, the boys had been there since 6. They were all babied up, they were having a good night. I got on to reply to the toast to lasses at midnight. To say that they weren't interested in a word that I was saying. In fact, I finished after 6 minutes and left them with the words, well, gentlemen, it's been a battle, and you've won. So anyway, after it's all done, I'm in the hostility room getting a wee gram. And Davy, who was the president, I said to him, look, Davy, sorry about that. Wasn't one of my better nights. I don't know whether it was the ambulance, my time, or whatever. He said, oh, don't apologise, son. It was your fault for asking you. So anyway, I'm in Junior College just now. I was in all these other places, but I'm a follower. Douglas Clark, a maths specialist, is organising links with the Glasgow Warriors, set at Glasgow College. We're going to get a sports qualification. He is also, guys, got a fantastic interest in history, so we're doing Holocaust and World War I projects. Got another colleague who's an English teacher who's right into fine art. You know, it's about, and when we were recruiting at Newlands Junior College, what else can you bring to a party? Of course, we're not obsessive about who's qualified to teach what. And again, conversation earlier on, we're talking about primary teachers working in the secondary schools. What a marvellous idea to bring that skill set, especially into junior school. And with a wee experiment, we did it in Govan, and all the head of maths was in high dudgeon about this, these people who are not qualified. And I said, listen, David, they are not going to be teaching Waynes about the finer points of integral calculus, are they? In fairness, he took my point. So, right now, Victoria and Kerry and Douglas And Billy, all these folk that work with me, I'm following them constantly because they're taking a lead in this stuff, and I'm happy so to do. Not at least I thought she's nice work for me.